Good morning, friends. It's good to be with you on our virtual meeting for worship on this special Sunday where we celebrate our 7 graduates from First Friends. Obviously, I've dressed the part to honor them this day. We have a few announcements. Fellowship hour is at 11 a.m. today. You should have received the Zoom link by your email. Our women's gathering, poetry and collage making, will happen on June 7th at noon. And if you are interested, contact the office for a Zoom link. And also our called meeting for reopening is happening on June 14th at 11:30 a.m. Now let us take a moment to bless our graduates in prayer. Let us unite our hearts in prayer and entrust to the hands of the Lord those who are graduating. May God, who began this good work in you, carry it through to completion, enabling you to use your talents to the fullest. May God give you the grace to make wise choices and to be faithful to your commitments, always confident in the support of those who love you. May God bless you with discomfort at easy answers, half-truths, and superficial relationships so that you will live deep within your heart. May God bless you with anger at injustice, oppression, and exploitation of people, so that you will work for justice, equality, and peace. May God bless you with tears to shed for those who suffer in pain, rejection, starvation, and war, so that you will reach out your hand to comfort them and change their pain into joy. May God bless you with the foolishness to think that you can make a difference in this world, so that you will do the things which others tell you cannot be done. And may your integrity be a gift to the world, and may the Spirit of God be with you always.
Friends, we are honoring and celebrating our seniors graduating from high school and college this year. We're so proud of these young men and women that have worked so hard for these degrees, adjusting, finishing their schooling virtually, and receiving these diplomas. We have 3 graduates from college. We asked our seniors to share something about themselves, and here's some of their responses. Alex Henry just finished his 4-year Bachelor of Science in Animation degree from Huntington University near Fort Wayne. With it, he hopes to continue his journey as an artist by working in an animation studio. He would like to thank both the church and its members for supporting him with the Overman Scholarship and everything else they have done to help him through his college career. While he admittedly has not spent a whole lot of time at First Friends over the last few years, he has always felt extremely comforted and cared for by the congregation. Everything from Verna Brinson's monthly letters to the rare chance he would get to come to worship have been a gift and have done nothing but encourage him to carry on. As a personal reflection, I see Alex as an incredibly talented student when it comes to animation software. I'm excited to see where his career will take him, although it might take longer than expected through this pandemic. I know it's been difficult for him as his family moved to Indianapolis while he was in college to serve First Friends, but he has been a welcome participant when he has been in Indy, and I have always recognized his deep spirit and valuable soul for the Quaker way. Kendra Hollinger shares that as an only child, she grew up in Winchester, Indiana, as a member of Winchester Friends Church. She attended Winchester Community High School, and 3 years ago, she chose to study at IUPUI because of the proximity of the dental school and the lure of a small campus field with large campus amenities. She feels blessed to have been accepted to the IU School of Dentistry class of 2024, where she is scheduled to begin studying this July. She's excited to see where this journey takes her, but she currently aspires to start her own general dentistry practice with both a fixed and traveling aspect to maximize her reach and potential. First Friends has been a home away from home for her. Upon moving to Indy, she knew she needed to find a faith community to help her grow as a friend. She was very nervous coming the first time, but was greeted and made to feel welcome. Singing with the choir has been so much fun. My reflection on Kendra is that it's been a joy for me to see Kendra in the choir. I will never forget that Sunday when Kendra felt led by the Spirit during unprogrammed worship to come to the microphone on the platform and sing a song for us that God brought to her. It was a powerful experience for me, and it shared the movement of the Spirit. Scott Small is graduating from Indiana University. He was born into this meeting, and we are thankful he is part of our community. His favorite memories were the Christmas pageant, planting the peace pole, and going to Quaker Haven. He wants to thank the Tinsleys, the Donahues, Kathy Ryan, and Rebecca Liming for sponsoring him throughout his time in Indiana. For the future, he is social distancing, and in the fall, he is hoping to attend law school at IUPUI. I remember Scott as a child at the meeting. He participated in Sunday school, Vacation Bible School, camps, pageants, so many of our activities. His Eagle Scout project was installing our peace pole in the Meditational Woods, and it has created a legacy of peace, and it impacts our community as so many visit our woods and reflect on the idea of peace. We are very thankful for this significant contribution to our facility. We have 4 high school graduates. Sam Henry attended Fishers High School in Fishers, Indiana, after completing his freshman year in Silverton, Oregon. Sam will be attending the School of the Art Institute in the fall of 2020, where he will be participating in their first-year Scholars Program. Sam is in the pursuit of earning his Bachelor of Fine Art in Studio with distinction and hopes to become an illustrator in the future. Sam recalls First Friends as being a fountain of experience and of creativity while attending for meeting, saying that the hours of fellowship with people of all different generations was often the most refreshing part of his week. He says that learning about everything from people's own life experiences to just day-to-day happenings was an absolute joy, and he cannot wait to continue creating and fellowshipping with us in the future. For me, Sam has been a part of our youth group since the Henry family came to First Friends, and he has been such a participant in this youth group with insight, knowledge of the Bible, history, and understanding of Quakers that provide such reflection. I have so appreciated developing a relationship with him, and he contributes so much to our discussions. Max Kitchell is graduating from Shortridge International Baccalaureate High School. He is taking the next year off, working, renovating, and living in a local apartment and determining where he would like to study. I have appreciated the Kitchell's family connection with First Friends. I remember Max in the kitchen many times helping with usher duties and helping his mom with fellowship activities. Chelsea Tinsley will be going to Purdue University to study mechanical engineering. First Friends has always been a community that supports her in her growth, both in spirit and character. She especially has loved VBS, youth group, and working in the garden. Thank you, First Friends, for the opportunities and memories that have shaped who she is today and will be in the future. Kendall Tinsley will be attending Purdue University and entering into first-year engineering. She plans to pursue a mechanical engineering degree. She greatly appreciates First Friends and the wonderful community she has had here. It's been a privilege to make so many amazing memories with the folks at First Friends, from VBS to Christmas Eve services to worship in the woods, and she is so glad to be able to take these with her on her journey to college. I remember the Sunday when Eric and Carolyn first introduced us to Kendall and Chelsea. It has been a joy to see them grow up and participate so fully at First Friends. Both of these girls are so smart and have been involved in their robotics teams at Carmel High School. They are also intuitive and spiritual young women, and I have loved getting to know them through youth group. We wish all these seniors the best of luck and want them to know that we hold them in our hearts and our prayers.
Our scripture reading for today is Exodus 4, 1-17 from the Message. Moses objected. They won't trust me. They won't listen to a word I say. They're going to say, God, appear to him? Hardly. So God said, what's that in your hand? A staff. Throw it on the ground. He threw it, and it became a snake. Moses jumped back fast. God said to Moses, reach out and grab it by the tail. And he reached out and he grabbed it, and he was holding his staff again. That's so they will trust that God appeared to you, the God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. God then said, put your hand inside your shirt. He slipped his hand under his shirt, then took it out, and his hand had turned leprous like snow. He said, put your hand back under your shirt, and he did it, and then took it back out as healthy as before. So if they don't trust you and aren't convinced by the first sign, the second sign should do it. But if it doesn't, if even after these two signs they don't trust you and listen to your message, take some water out of the Nile and pour it out onto the dry land. The Nile water that you pour out will turn to blood when it hits the ground. Moses raised another objection to God. Master, please, I don't talk well. I've never been good with words, neither before nor after you spoke to me. I stutter and stammer. God said, and who do you think made the human mouth? And who makes some mute and some deaf and some sighted and some blind? Isn't it I, God? So get going. I'll be right there with you, with your mouth. I'll be right there to teach you what to say. He said, oh, Master, please, send somebody else. God got angry with Moses. Don't you have a brother, Aaron the Levite? He's good with words. I know he is. He speaks very well. In fact, at the very moment, he's on his way to meet you. When he sees you, he's going to be glad. You'll speak to him and tell him what to say, and I'll be right there with you as you speak and with him as he speaks, teaching you step by step. He will speak to the people for you. He'll act as your mouth, but you'll decide what comes out of it. Now take this staff in your hand. You'll use it to do the signs.
There at the table with my head in my hands, a column of numbers I just could not understand. You said add these together, carry the two. Now you can do this hard thing. You can do this hard thing. It's not easy, I know, but I believe that it's so. You can do this hard thing. At a cold winter station, breathing into our gloves, it would change me forever, leaving for God knows what. You carried my bags, you said I'll wait for you. You can do this hard thing. You can do this hard thing. It's not easy, I know, but I believe that it's so. You can do this hard thing. Late at night I called and you answered the phone. The worst it had happened, I did not want to be alone. You quietly listened, you said we'll see this through. You can do this hard thing. You can do this hard thing. It's not easy, I know, but I believe that it's so. You can do this hard thing. Here we stand breathless and pressed in hard times. Hearts hung like laundry on backyard clotheslines. Impossible just takes little more time. From the muddy ground comes a green volunteer. In a place we thought barren, new life appears. Morning will come whistling some comforting tune for you. You can do this hard thing. You can do this hard thing. It's not easy, I know, but I believe that it's so. You can do this hard thing.
I've been reflecting all week about this message for our graduation Sunday, a graduation like no other in our time. My heart has been heavy that our seniors do not get to celebrate with parties, gathering with friends, senior breakfasts, award banquets, prom, senior skip day, commencement face-to-face, all of the rites and rituals that most of us experienced in our youth. This is a loss that is deep, but will eventually be logged in the memory books for our young people. As I talk to older folks, many don't remember their graduation clearly or say it was a ritual with a small amount of meaning. The joy was in the accomplishment, and we celebrate the accomplishments of all of our seniors today. What I believe is even more difficult is thinking about our future, all of our futures. I hear pundits on TV talk about pandemic fatigue. We knew we had to stay home and completely change our lifestyle to slow this virus down for a time. But now we're faced with an uncertainty about school. How will our young people experience their first year of college? How will our children receive their education this fall? How will our beloved teachers be able to teach in this environment? How difficult will it be for college graduates to get a job in their field of education? Can folks with compromised immune systems go to stores and restaurants? How and when can we safely open our meeting house? There's so many questions and few answers right now. We are living in uncertain times with a desperate need for things to go back to normal. And yet I'm not certain that things will ever be completely back to normal. We're living in some shaky times, and the longer this goes on, the more fear and anxiety we feel. Many of our plans and goals have been altered, postponed, or dashed because of this pandemic. I felt this heaviness several weeks ago as I contemplated ministry in this new environment. It's hard to think about how our First Friends social events, our gatherings, our fellowship over food will change. I think every single one of us has had these moments of sadness and disappointment and fatigue in trying to figure out our path in this situation. I've also been thinking a lot about the history of mankind and how many times we've experienced a crisis, a situation that seems beyond hope, beyond a path forward, beyond anything we could have anticipated or even thought about. While it does feel like the situation we are in with the pandemic is unique, we know there have been plagues and wars, devastating situations that we could never have imagined in our human history. While this feels unique to us, our forebears have experienced devastation and despair. Just read through the book of Lamentations in the Old Testament. It's full of lament. And at some of my darkest hours, I find comfort and solace in reading this poetry of just raw emotions. Then I started considering Moses and some of the other great characters in the Bible. The scripture that Bob read today has Moses arguing with God about what God is calling Moses to live through and demanding Moses to step into a role to lead the Israelites out of its bondage to Egypt. Moses knows the difficulties he will face. He really doesn't want to have to take this on. He asks God to choose someone else. He just doesn't have the wherewithal to step into this. Moses tells God there are other more qualified, more polished, more prepared folks to do this work. But God is having none of these excuses because he knows Moses is the one. However, God also understands Moses' strengths and weaknesses and suggests Moses' brother Aaron as a person to assist Moses. What I appreciate about this story is that God doesn't have a problem with Moses shaking his fist at God and saying, I don't want to do this, it's too hard. And that an uncertain and fearful future does not have to be faced alone. God brings others into our lives to support and assist with some of the hard work we are doing. Parents, siblings, friends, colleagues, acquaintances, strangers. And God will never leave us or abandon us. God will be right beside us during these difficult times. There are so many stories in our history of folks that have had to step into situations that were difficult, or the path forward was uncertain, or the individual had to work uphill to positively affect change in a situation that looked bleak. I was reminded of such a person this week as I read the Writer's Almanac this past Thursday. Clara Barton founded the American Red Cross on May 21st, 1881. Clara was a shy young girl and had a stutter, just as described of Moses. She started teaching at 18 and found her voice as a teacher. She went to work in the United States Patent Office in Washington, D.C. in 1854 and advanced and made sure that her salary was equal with the men in her office, which was unheard of at the time. By 1861, the Civil War was exploding, and Clara assisted wounded soldiers back to their families and communities. As the war progressed, she realized the Union Army had not provided adequate support for wounded soldiers. She often rode in ambulances and provided supplies and comfort to these frontline men that had been injured in battle. After the war, she traveled internationally and learned of the International Red Cross and convinced our government that an American Red Cross should be established. A woman in that time period that had little status with limited rights established an organization in our country that to this day comes to the aid of so many through all kinds of different challenges. How did she do this? How did David face Goliath as a young shepherd boy with a slingshot? How did Daniel face the lions in the den that were prepared to kill him? How did John the Baptist face the community with a radical message of love? How did Saul, who persecuted Christians with a vengeance, become Paul, the most profound apostle in establishing the early church? The situations and circumstances were beyond anything these beloved characters in our Bible could have imagined, just like today. I was inspired to hear our former President Barack Obama share a message to all of our graduating seniors last weekend. This excerpt sounds a lot like our Quaker testimonies that guide our life. He said, "I hope you decide to ground yourself in values that last, like honesty, hard work, responsibility, fairness, generosity, respect for others. You won't get it right every time. You'll make mistakes like we all do. But if you listen to the truth that's inside yourself, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient, people will notice. They'll gravitate towards you, and you'll be part of the solution instead of part of the problem. And finally, build a community. No one does big things by themselves. Right now, when people are scared, it's easy to be cynical and say, let me look out for myself or my family or people who look or think or pray like me. But if we're going to get through these difficult times, if we're going to create a world where everybody has the opportunity to find a job and afford college, if we're going to save the environment and defeat future pandemics, then we're going to have to do it together. So be alive to one another's struggles. Stand up for one another's rights. Friends, this is a time when we need to help set our world on a different path. We have to come together, even through our different lenses, different views, different politics, different experiences, rural and urban settings. It is through God's love for all and God's presence within us that gives us the foundation for a hope that is full and yet cognizant of the reality that we live in today. I've become a big fan of Nadia Bolz-Weber, the Lutheran pastor that's written a number of books. She wrote a recent blog post that just grabbed me about how we survive these times. She'd read a book by Navy Admiral James Stockdale, who served 8 years as a POW in a North Vietnamese prison camp. When he was asked who of his fellow prisoners struggled to make it out alive, he replied, "The optimists. Oh, they were the ones who said, we're going to be out by Christmas, and Christmas would come, and Christmas would go. Then they'd say, we're going to be out by Easter, and then Easter would come and Easter would go, and then Thanksgiving, and then it would be Christmas again, and they died of a broken heart." So the Stockdale paradox is the ability to hold two opposing but equally true things at once. You must have faith that you will prevail in the end, and at the same time, you must confront the brutal facts of your current reality. When I stop and check in with myself, I must say, I believe we will prevail. I have faith in the power of human love and creativity and resilience and kindness and humor. And I believe God to be the source of our love and creativity and resilience and kindness and humor, which means there is an eternal supply on which to draw when we just don't have what it takes. So here's the thing. We can turn resolutely to these brutal facts, and even so we will prevail. There's a global pandemic, and we will prevail. There will be death, and we will prevail. There are long hoped-for events in the future that will not happen, and we will prevail. There will be lost things and people and income and dreams, and still we will prevail. And we really will have this day, and that's all we have, and it's enough. Friends, as we face our reality and continue to have hope, we can hold on to this idea that we will prevail. We will be able to do some of these hard things, and our God will never leave us or abandon us. Our God is with us always and will give us strength to do these hard things. As we enter our time of unprogrammed worship, please consider the following queries. How am I facing my reality and yet living with the hope of the future? What hard thing is God calling me to do? How can I face my fears of uncertainty?
To close our service today, I would like to give a graduation benediction prayer. May God's blessings follow you all as you find new journeys to travel. May you walk safely along the pathways of your dreams. May God's gentle hand guide the decisions you will make and the passions that you follow. And may your hearts and lives always reflect God's love and truth. And may hope be a light within you that you carry into each new day. Amen. Have a great day, and congratulations to our graduates.